Good afternoon. Welcome to Boys on Facebook. This is our 15th show.
How many?
15th. 15th. Before we get started, I have an announcement. Due to a nationwide Comcast issue, we may lose service during the show. If we do, just please bear with us. And stay tuned to our Facebook page and we'll update you on what's going on.
Now that's a problem with Facebook or something, not us.
No, not us. Comcast, which is our internet service.
Okay.
And that's a nationwide issue, so if we're in and out, that's the reason why. I am Gina, as you know. This is my dad, Jerry. Say
Hello.
hi. With this fresh haircut today. Today we'll be talking about a few different things. We'll be discussing the auction that's going on right now, and that will end at 3:45 today. We'll be talking about the Fantail, which is on auction, the history of them, and also introducing new birds to your loft. Feel free to post questions as we go along or comments. Let's see what else.
Well, if we get to it, we'll talk about weaning.
Weaning, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, we will. Okay, so for the auction, there's 3 groups, if you're not aware of it. 3 different groups of Indian fantails.
Mm-hmm.
Indian fantails. Right now, group 1 is at $100, group 2 is at $60, and group 3 is at $60. So if you want to bid, post them underneath the bird's picture on the Facebook, and at 3:45, last one at 3:45 is the winner, and then we'll talk about that at the end of the show.
All right, let me give you a little bit of a background on these auctions that we're having. I'm chairman of a group called the Legacy Fund Trust. It's a branch of the National Pigeon Association, and our only goal is to raise money to help pigeon product, pigeon people, pigeon clubs, just in general, to do our very best to help this great hobby continue in the future. And when you make a contribution to the LFT, Legacy Fund Trust, that money is never spent. What we do is collect the money and conservatively invest it. And then the earned income from those investments are then made available. Now, we've been around for 11 years, and it's taken quite a while for us to get to the point we are now. We're finally a little over $50,000, 57 if I'm not mistaken, of money collected. So we finally are able to collect some decent interest. As you know, over the last few years, interest rates have been way, way down. And if you bought a CD for $5,000, you would make roughly $50 a year on it. So it was hard to make money available. Well, now that we're up over 50,000, the Legacy Fund Trust is now able to have money available. So if there's some project that you know of that benefits pigeons, all you have to do is either contact me at Foy's or contact Tim at the National Pigeon Association. They're online, they're in any magazine that you can find, and you need a specific form. The form will be mailed to you or emailed to you. The NPA Board of Directors then approves the request, but then after they approve it, it needs to go to the trustees, of which I am one of them, and we'll make the final approval. And if it's approved, and I can't imagine it not being, a check will be sent. Now, we're going to start off, the auction itself started about a week ago, last Monday, Veronica, something like that, last Monday. So in the future, when you go to our website, you can see our shows, you can check on them and see what we auctioned off last week, but Veronica will always make you aware of what we're going to do the following show 2 weeks down the road. So what I wanted to do is we're going to auction off these fantails, the Indian fans. Remember now, you have until 3:45 Eastern time to make your bid. We'll close it at 3:45, and the highest bid at that time will get the birds. And you have to pay the shipping on them along with your bid. You wanted to mention about the credit cards and things?
Well, not yet, but I wanted you to mention where the birds came from.
Yep. The 3 pair of Indian fans that we're going to be offering come from the loft of the late Les Everett. Les Everett was famous for his rollers, but he also had some of the best Indian fantails, and he also had parlor rollers. Kevin Moss, his friend, contacted me after Les's death and said he had the Indian fantails if I wanted to use them for the auction for the Legacy Fund Trust. So that's what we're going to do. So remember, you can make a bid all through the show, and remember, you have to pay for the shipping, and that's all, along with the cost of the birds. And if you have any questions, you can certainly contact me. Well, you're going to have to contact us through the show if you have a question, because it's over in about 40 minutes or so. Payment method?
You can pay. You can pay by check or money order. If you, good gracious, credit card, check, or money order. And if you pay by check or money order, you need to make it out to NPA LFT.
And send it to me.
And send it to Jerry.
At Foy's. How about a credit card?
But once the auction is over and we announce the winner, then you can call and contact Jerry or I, and that way we can talk to you about everything and what's going to happen.
Okay.
How about that?
And if we appear to be discombobulated, we are. I got here a little late, and then we decided. I didn't decide it. Veronica made the decision as producer, director of our show, that we needed a better setting. So we had to move everything because of Veronica from her office where we normally do the show. We are now in the warehouse, which gives us a lot more room. But the real reason for the move was so that you can get a good view of the pigeons we're going to be talking about.
And it's hot out here.
And it's hot out here. Yeah, it's air conditioned in her office. All right. Now I keep looking that way because we expect UPS and FedEx to be walking in and probably wave and say, hi, I want to be on the show. But remember now, you can email your bids and let us know.
Not email.
I'm sorry.
You know what to do.
Yeah. They know what to do.
Post it under the picture.
Okay. All right. Before we talk about anything and start, the auction is ongoing until we told you what time. Veronica, I need you to show these folks this pair of birds, okay? And I'll talk a little bit about them. Can you do that? This has nothing to do with the auction. Tell you a little story. A gentleman called me, actually a young man, boy, I guess is the best word to say, called me. He said, Mr. Shirley, I've got some utility kings. I'm sorry. We raise them. I'm looking over here, but it's over there now. See how professional we are? So anyways, he said, I have some utility kings, and I was wondering if you could help me sell some. And I talked to him a little bit. He's an Amish boy trying to raise some money, but they do raise utility white kings. I'm not sure how many they have, but they have a few hundred. And I said, sure, Rudy, if you send the birds to me, I'll talk about them on the Facebook show, and if people want to buy them, all they have to do is call me after the show. And if you want to call Foy's after the show, if you have any questions, you can certainly ask, and I'll answer them. And if you buy them, I'll ship them to you. If you don't know anything about a white utility king, go ahead and move around a little bit there. The utility king is much bigger than a racing homer, and they're meat pigeons. You don't eat the breeding pair. This is a breeding pair, a hen and a cock. You don't eat them. What you do is you raise the young ones. And I know it sounds gruesome, but it's very, very popular. In fact, I mentioned it before. There's lofts, I think, in South Carolina that have over 50,000 pair. They're considered a delicacy, and they're the young ones are killed at right around 28, 29 days of age, where they haven't built any muscle. So the meat is very tender, and what they do is when they butcher them, you're just getting the breast of the baby, which is, like I say, a real delicacy. You've heard of squab under glass, and that's basically what these utility kings are. They produce squab under glass. So once again, if you're interested in the birds, move them a little bit. If you're interested in the bird, call Jerry at Foy's. I'll be here until 5 o'clock Eastern time. Just give me a call. So, Ron, if you want to move the camera back, and I'm going to take these birds out, and we'll get going with the show. Do you have anything you want questions?
Yes.
Right? Let me move these birds.
One thing I forgot to mention when the show started is some people mentioned that that they cannot hear us. A lot of times when you're listening on your phone, that's the reason. But you shouldn't have a problem on your laptop computer.
I'm moving some Indian fantails. Which pair number? Group number 1?
The reds. Red gray tail. Also, if you're sending in any orders or planning to visit, make sure you have our new address, which is in the new catalog, also on our website. And if you want to order a catalog, please don't private message us to ask us to send you one. Please call us or order it through our website. Thank you.
You okay?
I'm hot.
Oh, you're hot. I know. Well, at least you got you smiling. People call and say, Veronica, say, Gina, you got to smile more. So she's smiling. Now, if Veronica, if you'll take a picture or show these folks this pair, this is lot number 1 or set number 1, and what it is a hen and a cock. The hen is the smaller of the two and more red, and the cock is the bigger bird with the gray tail. That's lot number 1. And what do we have as a bid on lot number 1?
$100.
Okay. We have an offer of $100 for this pair. And if you would be interested in the pair from Les Everett, and they're doing their job by droppings, but you look at those droppings and you can see how healthy the birds are, believe it or not. That's what healthy droppings would look like, dark with white. The white is the urine. So if you're interested in this one, this is pair number 1. They're a pair of reds. The cockbird has a gray tail. I don't guarantee mated pairs, but I do guarantee hen and cock, because when Les passed away, we didn't have any records, but in watching these birds, this is a hen and a cock. Lot number 1. Okay, we're going to talk about a few other things, and then I'll show you lot number 2 in just a couple of minutes, or do you think we should just continue it so that they can have more time to auction?
Yeah, we
okay.
can do that.
So, do you have anything you can talk about?
Yeah, go ahead.
Why don't you talk about the Indian fantails and the history a little bit while I get another pair?
I got this.
You got this, huh?
I got
okay.
this.
All right.
I thought I had it. So I'll go through a couple questions that we had posted on Facebook before we started. Vahid, if I'm saying it right, I don't know. He said, I noticed one of my birds was shivering yesterday. He doesn't show any signs of sickness. He looks very healthy otherwise. Depending what breed of pigeon you have, this could be normal for them to shiver like that.
Yeah, some birds that are part of their nature is to shiver, and that's the American fantail, the mookie, and there are other birds that just shiver. That's part of their breed. But shivering is not unusual. Generally speaking, a bird who's under a little bit of stress will shiver. Doesn't necessarily mean they're ill. In this particular case, the gentleman mentioned that the birds appear to be very healthy. Even extreme heat like we're having right now in our part of the country will stress a bird out, and you'll see some shivering. So I thank you for the question, but don't worry about it. If you do find that the birds are getting sick then you might have an issue, but if they look perfectly healthy, I wouldn't do a thing. Next question. Or do you want me to talk about? I'll better talk about these.
Yeah.
Because we want everybody to see
Group
these
2.
birds. This is group number 2, or set number 2. And what we have here is the cock is on the left. That's the one with the more white than anything else. You can see it is bigger than the hen in front of it. So it's a red splash with a red splash hen. Move them around a little bit, get them walking. These are Indian fantails. Indian fantails been around for what, almost 500 years? We were looking in a book.
Since 1590.
1590. So the birds, this breed has been around for a long, long time, back into the 1500s. And for some reason, it wasn't the popular breed until, I would say, in the last decade. Now you go to the shows, and there's cage after cage after cage of the Indian fantail. Is a very popular breed right now. It's just strange how breeds become popular for a number of years, and then their popularity diminishes, and then something else becomes popular. Indian fantails are popular right now. And what we have bid-wise already, we have a bid for
60. Veronica. 60.
60. Veronica, you want to move back, please? So we do have a bid for 60. If you're interested and want to bid $65, $70, please do that. I remind you that all of the money that you offer or bid on these birds is to help the future of this great hobby. A lot of us are getting older. A lot of us are concerned about the future of the hobby. We certainly know that it's not a growing hobby, but we hope that by raising the money, we can help to finance some projects that will extend this great hobby that we all enjoy. Don't understand why, but we all of us watching do enjoy this great hobby. I'm going to get another pair. Gina, you want to answer a question?
Vahid asked another question. He said, I also had a bird that was fine, and then it was dead the next day. Why? We don't know why. I mean, without no symptoms, I don't know. There's nothing we can tell you. You need to tell us a little more about what's going on with the bird. Symptoms, droppings, all of that.
Yeah, and try to put you at ease a little bit. It's not unusual to lose a bird here and there. I lost one yesterday. I walked in, it was dead on the floor. I picked it up. It was full body, hadn't gone thin. I really don't know what's wrong, but I have 300 or 400 pigeons. Losing a bird here and there is going to happen. Now, if you lose a second one, then you do have a problem. So that, hi, Mr. Mailman, we're on live. You want to be on the show? Come on over here. What's your name?
Jake.
Hey, look right into that camera. Lean over here. This is our mailman. And when you send us an order, it's delayed. When you send us an order, this is the man that brings it to us. So we thank you.
No,
And talking about the dead pigeon, if it happens again within the next few days, you got an issue. If it's a one-time deal, it's no big deal. Just do nothing. But if the second one passes away, call us right away. What I would suggest you do is pick that bird up, put it in a plastic bag, like a shopping bag or something like that. Put it in a refrigerator. Don't freeze it because it destroys what we need to know. And chill it. Call Gina at Foy's or any of us at Foy's, and we'll give you an address to send the bird. The bird would go to Penn State University for a complete necropsy, autopsy, and they'll find out what was wrong. But you can't send it direct. I guess you could if you're out of state. It'll cost you a lot of money. So if you call Foy's, we'll work it out so that the bird will go to Penn State, and the cost would be very reasonable, probably $200 or less. And they have done hundreds and hundreds of pigeons for us. They know pigeons. It isn't like sending it to a vet or to a laboratory that's never done a pigeon necropsy. The folks at Penn State are very, very experienced. Okay, now the last pair of birds I want you to talk about, and if you're just tuning in,
Last group.
pardon?
Last group.
The last group, I'm sorry. The last group are two basically black fantail. And if you're just tuning in, you have until, come here, come on, there you go. Wanted to separate them, but they want to get together. What we're doing is raising money for the National Pigeon Association Legacy Fund Trust, and all of the money that we garner or gather through contributions by buying these birds will go to the Legacy Fund Trust, which basically is there to help the future of pigeon keeping. This is a really dark pair. Wouldn't call them black because they're more like smoky. But if you're interested, right now we have a bid of $60 for this pair. And when you make that bid, if you win or if you go 65 or 70, whoever has the top bid at, are we having problems? No? We okay? Okay. If you make a bid, you have to pay for the shipping, and I personally will ship the birds right out to you. And the way you make a bid is to go onto Facebook. You'll see how to do it there, and just make your bid. So that's the 3 pair that we have. You have about another half an hour or so to make an offer on these birds. We have the first pair first set we showed you. I hesitate to call them a pair because I'm not telling you they're a mated pair. I'm just telling you they're 2, and I looked at them and I did my very best to sex them. So by making the bid, you have until 3:45, and all you have to do is make the bid. The first pair, the first 2 we bid on, we have a bid of 100. The second pair, we had a bid of 65, and the third two, we had a bid of 60. So you can buy 2 beautiful Indian fantails for a very reasonable price from a really top loft in the United States. Okay. While we're getting back to the questions, if you have a question, I'll remind you, you can send a question about pigeons, no matter what it is. Send it in to us and we'll answer it on the air. I'm going to move this pair of Indian fantails. Can you fill in for a couple of minutes?
Sure, I can.
Okay, I want to put in another pair when we talk about it.
Okay.
Okay.
Just update you guys on the nest bowls. We did have a sale on the dandy nest bowls, which was the bigger ones. They are completely out of stock now. We are going to be getting the new ones in, which are similar to the old sanitary nest bowls. They should be in next week. So as soon as we get those in, it will be updated on our website and on Facebook. So just keep an eye out for those. Okay.
All right. I'm going to ask Veronica to move again to take a picture or take video of the birds that I want to talk about. Now, these birds are not going to be for auction, and the auction starts next Monday, and it'll go until our show, which is on July 13th. We'll have to talk about that. I'm out of town.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. But anyways, this is a very unique opportunity. This is a pair of racing homers that are straight down line from Belgium. The original birds, or these birds, were bought for just about $500 a pair. And we're going to auction these off because a gentleman asked us to try to bring some good racing pigeons in. And I want to tell you a little bit about them. It's just amazing. I've got the pedigree, and if you decide you want to buy the birds or bid on the birds, you'll get a copy of this pedigree, or you'll get this actual pedigree. This bird, first of all, the cock bird is the blue checker, the hen is the blue bar. Let me read it. It's just amazing. These come back to Belgium. Some of you who know strains, I can mention some names, but basically, if you look at their pedigree, there's Jansen in them. They come from the loft of Bob King in Wisconsin originally, but there's I'm looking at their background. The great-grandparents were Jansen, let's see, North Leah. The One of these birds, one of the great-grandparents, was sold for $250,000. I didn't stutter on that one. $250,000 was what one of the birds in the background, one of the females or hens way back, and this was back when, back in 2008, 10 years ago, somebody bought one of these background birds for $250,000. In looking at the pedigree, there's winners all over the place. The breeder's progeny, the background of one of the birds also sold for $120,000. These numbers are just absolutely crazy, but these are super, super birds. I can mention King Bond, if you know the breed, the strain King Bond, Blondie, the Blue Euro, Dr. King, Golden Popeye. If you know those, they're all on this pedigree. So we've got pedigree in the background where one of the background paid $250,000 and one of the other birds in the background of this bird sold for $120,000. That's the cockbird. Now the hen, and if you want to look it up, the bird's band is NPL, Nancy Paul Larry, and it's band number 71, and the bird it was born in 2014. The hen is a 2013 bird, and in talking about the hen, you've heard of Super Crack. It's in the background. Kelly Gold, winners, just everywhere. Famous Super Crack, it's in the background. Legend, King Clown, all in the background. There's Jansen in the background. Let's see, Jansen. I'm trying to find if there's any other strain. Jansen. The only one that, so it's mostly Jansen, and you get a lot of calls for these, or I certainly do. It's 025 bloodlines, if you know what that is. So these are super, super quality pigeons. If you want a really a foundation stock for your loft, look at the color, look at the, I'm just looking at them, I'm amazed. Look at the nose wattle, chalk white, the eyes are orange and bright, feathers are just glowing and soft. When I was handling them in my hand, they almost slid out of my hand. So if you're looking for a great pair of pigeons, give some thought to these. The bidding doesn't start until Monday. But if you want to make a bid, you can do it through Facebook. If you have a question, call Foy's. But you'll have almost 2 weeks to, do you think, we'll talk about it because I am going to be out of town. So we'll work that out. We'll get back to you on that. Any questions on these pedigrees of birds, you can give Jerry a call. Give you my home phone number, 724-359-5355. I know I sprung that on you. If you didn't have a pencil ready, I'll give you my number again, and I'll say it slower. 724-359-5355. That's my home. And understand, being my home, this time of the year I'm cutting grass and got lots of chores, cleaning coops and stuff. So if I don't answer, I will call you back. Okay, we have a, you want to read that?
Yeah. We do have another bid for Group 3 for $65 for Gorin. And Tom Jackson also bid the same price, but Tom Gorin bid before you. So if you wanted to place a bid, you need to bid again.
Okay.
Please pay attention to the bids. If you place something, look above you after you hit the button, because somebody may have submitted right before you.
Right, well, that's great. So we have 2 people tied at 65. We accept bids in increments of $5. So Tom Jackson, if you're interested in that pair, you need to go to $70, and you would then be ahead of Mr. Gorham Karusik. Oh, they're good on that one. All right. Wanted to talk a little bit. Do you have another question you want to talk about? I wanted to talk about something that was on my mind today when I was out in the lofts. I use a lot of people ask me what I put on the floor, and I'm kind of, I guess, I don't want to say lazy, but you have to keep in mind I have 11 sections. Most of them are 8 by 8 sections, and to get out there and and I'm 77 years old, so to get down on my hands and knees to scrape the floor, which is what I used to do, just ain't in the program anymore. Can't do it, don't want to do it. So a few years back, I started to look at this floor covering from Natural out of Belgium. We've sold it for a number of years. I'd never used it. So I started using it, and I just love it. It's made from clay, so it's an all-natural product, and has something in it that helps against coccidiosis. Not a antibiotic, but a anti-coccicide. So that helps that too. But what I do is I clean the lofts about every 6 months. That's right, I don't clean my loft, but every 6 months. They're mating. Yeah, Gina was just pointing to me, or pointing out to me that pair of pedigree racing homers are in the process of kissing, and they're going to be, we're going to have eggs from them pretty darn quick. So back to that. So what I do is, and I'll do it this weekend. Of course, it's supposed to be 94 tomorrow, but I get in there with a shovel. I shovel everything out, put it in boxes, throw it away, sweep the floor up, sprinkle Belgian white on the floor, and then I put, on an average 8x8 loft, I put 3 bags of floor covering down. It's very absorbent, so if you spill water or the birds' droppings dry up very, very quickly, and it also will suck up odor. So I love it, use it all the time. I've actually gone almost 8 months this time without cleaning my floor, because even though I own Foy, there was nothing I could do. We ran out of their stuff. And so we had to wait for the next full container to come from Belgium. We got it in a week or so ago, and I moved about 12 bags over to one of my lofts, and I'm going to be doing that hopefully this weekend. So if you're looking for a great product to put on the floor, and you don't have to clean your loft anywhere near as often as you do in the past, I go in, scrape all of the perches or anywhere else that manure might gather, and then I scoop it all up and throw it away. Okay. The bidding is going. Let's see. Are you going to be auction? Are rollers going to be auctioned? Do you have any young rollers? Yes, rollers will be auctioned in the near future. Do I have any young rollers? The answer is no. Right now I have about 20 pair of rollers in all colors, but I don't breed from them. It's just a problem when I sell pigeons the way I do. If I have, let's say I have a pair of black splashes or grizzles, and they're on young ones, and somebody calls and wants to buy a pair of grizzles, I've got a dilemma. If I can't move them somewhere else, I can't sell the pair. So what I do is when my whites lay eggs, I throw their eggs away, and I put false eggs, either wooden or plastic, under them, and they'll set those eggs for around 21 days. And if I do get an order for that particular pair or that particular color, what I'm going to do is be able to ship them, because they're not on real eggs. So in answer to the question, I have no young ones, but keep in mind, rollers aren't like racing pigeons. You can buy breeders and keep them in for a couple of weeks, and they're going to stay with you. They don't have the strong homing instinct that a racing pigeon does, so buying breeder rollers, it's not a problem. You can keep them, and then eventually let them go. You'll have absolutely no problem at all.
Thank you.
I got to take a deep breath. Have I been talking a lot?
A lot, yeah.
Do you have anything you want to talk about?
We need to talk about introducing new birds to
Okay.
the loft.
That question's been asked a couple of times over the last week, and somebody asked us to discuss it on the show. Adding young birds to a loft with old birds should not be a problem. I do it just about every day. I'm moving young ones into, if I don't have room in my young bird loft, I put them in with my breeders. The thing that you have to do is make sure you have enough perches. When I say enough, always have more perches than you do birds. So if you got 25 birds, put up 30 perches. That way, if the young ones come in, they're going to go to a perch. If that perch is taken, the cockbird's going to shoo it away, but it will find an unoccupied perch, and should be no problem at all. But adding to the birds, no special technique. just make sure the bird is old enough to eat and drink. I've talked about it before. The way I figure it is I pick the bird up, I look under its wing. If I see no skin, it's all feather on both wings, then it's old enough to eat and drink, and you can add it to your old birds. That answer that one?
Yep.
Heck of an answer, wasn't it?
Great job.
Yeah, great job. We
Could have
invite
done better myself.
Oh, you're learning a lot. As folks know, my family works here at Foy's, along with we have Veronica, who's not family, but I was going to adopt her, but it just didn't work out the last time I adopted kids. And then we have Sherry, who's out on sick leave right now, but everybody else. I have 3 daughters that work for us, a granddaughter, and my wife and myself. How did I get off on that tangent?
I don't know.
Oh, they've
I'm
learned.
learning.
Yeah, the girls, all of the folks, with the exception of my granddaughter, have been with us, I'm going to say close to 15 years. And just
Nice.
by hearing, well, how long have you been with us?
9.
9. All right, well, I said most of them. Oh, picky. Anyways, they've learned an awful lot. When I get questions from you folks, I have a booklet that I write, and I write in that book with questions that's not in that book, and all of our employees have that question and answer book, but they've learned an awful lot. You'd be shocked how much they can answer. It used to be every question went to Jerry. Now it's about every 3rd question goes to Jerry, because over these number of years, there aren't many questions that haven't been answered time and time again. So the girls, if they don't know the answer off the top of their head, all they have to do is go to the book, and most of the answers are right there.
No, it's not all, but most.
Most.
Huh.
Well, when it's not there, I add it. Come on, give me a break. Gee.
You do.
Okay. Any other questions we want to answer?
Yeah, I can't see it though.
Oh, pair of droppers.
Do you just want to read it? You want me to read it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for a pair of droppers for my homers. I had a family of English baldheads that the males would jump up when they would see a pigeon. Any suggestions or recommendations?
He mentioned Chicos, C-H-I-C-O, apostrophe S.
Droppers.
I'm not sure what that is. It might be a strain, but I'm not sure. I keep droppers for people who have racing homers. My droppers are part Oriental frill, and they're also part racing homer, which means that they have shorter beaks than a racing pigeon, but not so short that they can't feed their own own young ones, or young ones that you might want them to raise your racing pigeons too. They don't fly much because they're more of a show bird. And for those of you who don't know what a dropper is, when you're racing or training your birds and your flock comes home, are we getting close to the end of the
7
auction?
minutes.
7 more minutes for the auction on those Indian fantails, and it's over in 7 minutes. But getting back to the droppers, when the birds come home as a group, you want them to come right in, and sometimes they just don't want to do that. Well, a dropper is trained. You have it in your hand, or go get it when the birds come home and they're going round and round. You toss that dropper up in the air. You've trained it to go right into the coop. It's either very hungry because you know your birds are due, or it's been trained. You throw it up, it goes right into the loft. When the racing homers are returning from a race or a flight, they see them, they're going round and round. They see that dropper going in, and they'll hopefully follow that bird right in, which saves time in a race and trains the birds to come in quickly. Because when you're racing pigeons, it's a matter of seconds. The quicker you get them in, the better chance you have of winning. Also, a lot of people have more than one. You throw one up because maybe 3 or 4 birds came home. Then you have another one ready because maybe another group will come home at 5 minutes later. So droppers, my droppers are all white-bodied with a colored wing, and they have what's called boots, not muffed on their feet, but boots, feathers on their feet. If you have questions, give me a call, 724-359-5355. My home, that's my home number. If you want to call me, I'll be here for another hour after the show. 724-843-6889. Do we have a question on rollers?
Yeah, well, somebody asked if you had any pairs available. They need 3 pairs, but they didn't say pairs of what.
Rollers, I'm assuming, because that's you just asked about them. If it's rollers or
Same
homers,
person?
the answer,
Oh, okay.
yeah. If it's rollers or homers, yes, I do have pairs. When I say pairs, keep in mind, I'm guaranteeing you a hen and a cock. I'm not guaranteeing you 3 mated pair. The reason for that is I've got my rollers separated, my hens and cocks, cocks in one loft, hens in another. The reason I do that is I'm all done breeding, and I'm doing that with my racing homers too. I'm starting to remove all of my nest boxes, and I'll separate my hens and cocks. So I guarantee you a hen, I guarantee you a cock, I don't guarantee you a mated pair. If you have a question, 724-843-6889 at 4, be here till 5 o'clock. Or if you want to call my home, if I'm not home, I don't have an answering machine. You just, when you call, it records your number. And and a lot of people are shocked. Sometimes I call them 8:30 at night. I promise you, even if it's not the same day, I will call you back and answer your questions. Well, Jeff Spencer is asking, I think Jeff is a member of the National Pigeon Association. Pretty sure. Anyways, I hope you are, Jeff. The crosses, I can't tell you for sure, absolutely, but I know there's satinets in them because all the racing pigeon people call them satinets.
He said why.
Why are they crossed?
Why the particular cross?
You want them to be able to fly, not a lot, and it's just a very popular cross in my area of western Pennsylvania and Ohio. It's been that way for years and years, so I don't have a particular reason except you do, like if you threw up a fantail, the bird would fly in the air and go to the ground, and a lot of birds just aren't used to flying. So with a homer satinet cross, you've got birds that are easy to tame because of the satinet cross, and they do have some flying ability because of the racing pigeon cross. I hope that makes sense to you. All right. Do we have any other questions? Oh, I know one. I brought the birds in for it. A gentleman wanted to know in regards to the white wattle we talked about. And I sometimes will mention a white sear, and I'm incorrect. The sear is the skin around the eyeball. You've got 2 more minutes for the auction?
For the auction.
Yeah, 2 more minutes, so if you want to auction or want to bid on these birds, we urge you to do it right now. But in talking about the eye sear, what I was talking about is the wattle. The wattle is the nose. I brought 2 birds in. One that has a nice chalk white wattle. And what that means when it's chalk white like that, you've got a healthy pigeon. A really, really healthy pigeon. That's what you're striving for. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is one of my black racing homers that we sell, and I wanted to bring this in the black color because the white stands out. I hope you can see it. This is a black bird, and if you look, you can see the nose wattle, that's right here, is really white. It's chalk white. Now I'm going to bring another bird out. Can you see that?
No.
I have to hold it higher. Don't mind me, us professionals. Oh, we're going to move the camera. There it is. It's all right now. But you can see that white nose really, really stands out. Chalk white against the black. Now I'm going to show you one that's not chalk white. I'm going to hold both birds in my hand because I wanted to show you. Now, this bird is a black bird. You look at it, wattle. I'm waiting for it to come up so I can talk about it. Now, this bird, it doesn't show as well as I'd hope, but it's almost tannish color. It's not chalk white. Now, you would say, well, if it's not chalk white, why do you have it in your loft? Isn't it sick? This is one of the exceptions I wanted to explain. You can see this is a pair of blacks. The bird on my right would be on your left, is a hen, and it's feeding young ones. when a hen or a male, this is not a mated pair, I said it was, it's not. The cock bird is laying on the young. When a bird feeds its young ones, it's regurgitating food and sticking its mouth or beak into the baby's beak or mouth. So in doing that, some of the moisture and the feed colors the nose wattle. So chalk white, off white. The only exception to a bird not being sick when it's an off white is when it's breeding, if has young ones. If you get a discolored nose and it has no young ones, then you probably have an issue, and you should look closely at that bird. Maybe put it on a medication. If you have a question, you can call me. Okay, just sort of recap, because the auction is going to be done in about a minute. It's over. Okay, I guess they can go online and see who won the birds.
No, we'll tell them in a minute.
Okay, going to tell them in a minute. Once again, I thank you very much for the bids. We raised over $200 for the Legacy Fund Trust. Gina will explain how to make the payments for them. And I will ship the birds myself. If everything goes well, we will ship them next Tuesday or Wednesday. If not, it'll be the following week, and I will call you and give you a tracking number so you'll know when you get the birds. If you have any questions, certainly you can call me. But all of the money raised goes to the National Pigeon Association Legacy Fund Trust, a group that is raising money to help the future of our hobby. And keep in mind that next week, or the next show, we're going to have some super one pair of racing pigeons that are fully pedigreed and worth a heck of a lot of money. I hope we'll raise even more money the next auction. But we do plan on having these auctions every show. I can tell you that in the future we're going to have rollers. In the future we're going to have a pair of helmets. In the future we have another pair of top quality racing pigeons. I have a pair of English carriers on the way. In the fall, I'm going to have some Luzerne collar pigeons, which are just gorgeous pigeons. So we have a lot of pigeons coming from all over the United States. If you're interested in donating a pair, I ask you to just give me a call at Foy's and give you the information and ship them to me. You are helping the future of the hobby. So I do thank you very much. And if you have any questions, once again, 724-843-6889. And I'm starting to lose my voice.
Okay, so the winner for Group 1 is Luke Souza. Group 2, Goran Karusik. Group 1 was $100. Group 2, Goran $60. And Group 3, Goran as well for $75. Once the show is over, you can call us today, or you can call us on Monday. It's up to you. We'll get your address, all your contact info, and then you can let us know how you're going to pay it, whether it be check, money order, or credit card, and we'll talk about all that when you call us.
And I remind you, if there's a topic or a subject you'd like us to cover as far as pigeons, we certainly hope you'll email us at Foy's or put it on Facebook, however they do it on Facebook. And just like the talking a little bit about weaning and talking about the white wattle, those are based on requests from people. So you can just send a question to us, and we promise you it'll be part of the next show. I wanted to read this question while we have a few minutes, because we'll talk a little bit about the service that we offer. What it is, it basically says, thank you for sending the drop-ins in. And this is from a vet, and it's to the customer. I ran the one circled on the bag. The findings are moderate coccidiosis infestation. He has a slight case of roundworms and has a bad case of lice. And what he's suggesting is that you might have mold in your loft. What I'm trying to get across is we offer a service where if you send in the fresh droppings, call Foy's, they'll tell you how to do it. If you send fresh droppings in, we have a veterinarian who's also a pigeon lover. and that veterinarian will look at those droppings and many times contact the person who sent them or contact us, and we'll call and tell the people what Dr. Miller suggests and what you should do about it. So in this particular case, the gentleman sent droppings in. He has trouble with his birds. He had not one problem, but he had coccidiosis, he had roundworms, and he had heavy mites and lice. So sometimes you have issues, and a lot of people now made it a habit of sending in their droppings once every maybe 2 or 3 times a year, and they've been able to recognize problems that they didn't even know they had. Okay.
Question, Bill Rubel, you told him to call you after he treated his birds with furazolidon.
Mm-hmm.
Should he vaccinate now, or?
No, usually you wait about 10 days. And I asked you to call me, Bill, what you need to do is call me at home. No, I'll tell you what, call me at Foy's here. I'll be here for another hour, 724-843-6889, and I'll talk about it, because the reason I want to talk to you is the vaccines come in 100-dose bottles. It's the only size they're made. But there is a way that you can save some, so that if you've got 24 birds and you vaccinate them twice, you're only using half the amount, and you can save it and use it again in the future. But I want to be able to talk to you to describe what you have to do. So good hearing from you, Bill. Well, what are we going to do, folks? You're not sending in questions. We need questions. And we have about 10 more minutes, or 10 more minutes. So what are we going to do? I know what I'm going to do. Okay. Yeah, I'm like a Boy Scout. I come prepared.
Tell him to call after the show. Please, if you won, call after the show.
Yeah, somebody.
Jerry and I are doing the show, so we have to take your calls.
And it is live. Okay. What I have is a booklet that I keep on tips and tricks and things like that. So what I want to do is basically talk about it. This is Greg Pola, a good friend of mine, actually a member of one of the trustees of the Legacy Fund Trust, and he sent that question a while back, and we had a veterinarian look at it, and here's what we found out. It says, I think you have Candida. Now, a lot of people don't know what Candida is, but it's fairly common. Some people call it thrush. And if you get a bird and you open up its mouth and look in its mouth, usually you're going to see white spots. A lot of times it's on the roof of the mouth. And people want to panic and think they have canker. Well, white spots is not canker. Usually white spots is Candida or thrush. The good thing about it, it is easy to treat. It's many times caused by the overuse of antibiotics. So I caution you, you should not be using antibiotics just because you want to try to keep your birds healthy. You can't keep birds healthy by using medicine. It would be like you saying, and you've heard me say this before, I don't want to get sick today, so I don't want to get sick next week or next month, so I think I'll take some amoxicillin for the next 2 or 3 weeks, and that'll keep myself healthy. Now, isn't that silly? Would you do that? So with pigeons, it's the same thing. If you've got a pigeon and you want to use antibiotics but they're perfectly healthy, it makes absolutely no sense at all. So overuse, and that's where it comes. A lot of people will treat their birds before they start breeding or before they race. They'll treat birds with antibiotics, even though the birds are perfectly healthy, beautiful feather, nice white wattle, and they're going to put antibiotics in them to keep them healthy. Strong word, but silly. Maybe the next word would be stupid, in my opinion. And I sell medicines, and I'm trying to tell you, don't use so much. So overuse of antibiotics, one of the results could be thrush, which is not good. It's a yeast organism, and you sure don't want to be have to be treating for that. So that's one thing to think about. And these booklets, because we get a lot of questions and I make them available to a girl. As you know, we sell the girls. Did I say the right thing? Yeah. We sell Aviomed products, which are made in South Africa by by Dr. Okert Botha from South Africa. And when I'm stumped, I many times will email Dr. Botha, and I'll ask him a question. And here was a question that we emailed to Dr. Botha. This goes back last year or so. I hope you are well. That's me. I have a pigeon health question. A friend of mine bought a pair of pigeons at the local show recently. After he got home, he noticed several signs that they must have some sort of an infection. They are normal in consistency, not foamy and excessively smelly. The droppings also have considerable liquid, making the bedding or floor abnormally wet. The birds also seem to be quite thirsty. Might you have any suggestions as the type of medication I could use? I emailed that question straight on to Dr. Botha, and here's what he says. Hi Wayne, the change in droppings could be as simple as stress, and it will go away when the birds settle down. So I've told people this a lot. When you move birds, buy birds, show birds, if there's any major change, even moving them in your own loft, one section to another section, or handling them, it causes stress. The stress will go away. In fact, if we wanted, I could take a picture of the birds that are right next to me, the racing pigeons, and their droppings I see are turned green, and that's stress. That's not a problem. They're stressed out. So Dr. Botha is suggesting that may have been the problem. These are new birds in the loft, and they're still stressed out. After a week or two, they'll calm down, and the droppings will go back to normal. He also says if they're lime green, it could mean coccidiosis. Lime green means very, very light green. I'm looking at this, the birds to my right, and their droppings are green, but they're on the darker side. It would not hurt to treat for coccidiosis. So coccidiosis is very, very common. Droppings are lime green, sometimes with a little blood in them. And it's not a bacterial infection. A lot of people get confused. Coccidiosis, canker, and worms do not respond to antibiotics. So if you give them amoxicillin or doxycycline for one of those three diseases, it's a complete waste of time. What you've got to do is treat them with a product that treats coccidiosis, or if you want to treat with all three, for all three, 3-in-1, because there's no antibiotics in 3-in-1. So Dr. Botha is suggesting if there are lime green, treat them for coccidiosis. That's pretty much it. So we get these kind of questions all the time. If I'm stumped, I call Dr. Miller or I email Dr. Botha. And what I'll do a lot of times, and if you've called me before at home, you'll know I'll tell you. You know what? I'm not absolutely sure. I have book upon book upon book to research and reference back to. So I'll tell the people, give me about 15 minutes. Sometimes it doesn't take that long. Let me do a little bit of research for you based on what you're telling me, and I'll get back to you with what I find. So sometimes I'll do that, and I'll find the information that I want. So if you have a health question or a situation in the loft that you're not sure of, heck, give me a call.
I have a question.
Yep.
If you loan a friend a bird to breed from, how long would you keep it in quarantine when you get it back?
Minimum 30 days. Minimum. If you were to buy birds from overseas and had them shipped in, normally they're shipped from Europe to Canada. They have to be quarantined for 30 days. Then they come from Canada into the United States. They have to be quarantined for another 30 days. So Europe and the United States government is saying 60 days. So the longer, the better, and the safer you're going to be. So I tell people a minimum of 30 days. So many people think 3 days or a week or 2 weeks is enough. Believe me, it's not. If you want to quarantine your birds, do it right. Minimum of 30 days.
You just reminded me of something. I had a customer that came in yesterday that had some respiratory problems, and he gave this product and it didn't work, and he gave this product, it didn't work, but he didn't give it for the full course of what you're supposed to. If you're given a product and it says 10 days minimum, you need to give a minimum of 10 days. Don't stop at 3 days because it's not working, or because you see it is working, because that problem that you're having is going to come right back. So use it for the full course of the treatment that you're supposed to.
Great point. I get calls a lot, and people will say to me, same thing they told Gina, well, I used it, and I'll say, well, how long did you use the amoxicillin? Well, 5 days. I says, and then what happened? Well, I just stopped. You can't do that. What you're going to do is follow the directions. So many people quit, and they don't. Well, it's just like me. Some of you know, I'm living right now with pneumonia, called walking bacterial pneumonia, and the doctor told me to take doxycycline until the pills were gone, which is about 2 weeks. Well, wouldn't it be stupid if I did feel a heck of a lot better after a week or so, but I took the medicine just like he told me because of everything I tell you folks. It's stupid. If he tells you to take him for 3 weeks, you take him for 3 weeks. And if you feel great after 2 weeks, do him for 3 weeks. Great point. Jeff is asking a follow-up question. Any medications while quarantined? No. If I said yes, I'd be going back on what I just said and what I've said so many times. Why give medications if the birds are healthy? What I would suggest, if you want, you can give them 3-in-1, because that's canker, coccidiosis, and worms, the most common diseases. But you could also put them on Ultra Pro. Ultra Pro, in my opinion, is one of the greatest products we have. I put it in my birds' water at least 6 days a week. It's Ultimate Vitamin. You look up Ultimate Vitamin in catalog or on our website, combined with a top quality probiotic. They're mixed together. They go in the drinking water. And after 4 to 6 weeks, you're going to pick up your birds, or people are going to come in your loft, and they're going to say, what the heck did you do to make your birds look so great? When you pick up my birds, they almost slip out of your hands. The feathers are so smooth and soft. They just absolutely glow with good health. And that's because of the Ultra Pro. So Jeff, I might suggest you put Ultra Pro in the water every day for the 30 days they're quarantined. It's a teaspoon to a gallon, and if there's only a few birds, just cut it down to a quart. And it's so cheap, so cut it down to a quart, which would be a quarter of a teaspoon, and give it to them. And what they don't drink, throw it away. One mix, a quarter of a teaspoon of Ultra Pro is nothing. It's almost costs almost nothing.
What's your thoughts on oregano for the health of pigeons?
Well, we've had this question before. Give my catalog, please. My mind is going blank.
Oregostem?
Huh?
Oregostem?
Yep. Okay. Page 67. If you have questions like these, and I thank you for your question, David, but you'll be amazed. All of these questions would be answered on our website and in our catalog, almost every product. And we do sell an oregano product. So
what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, what are my thoughts? But I want to refresh my own memory, so I got to find oregano. It's on page 63. Okay. Hold on. All right, this is basically what it says. It is 100% that we're talking about our product, and if it's pure oregano, it's the same thing. It's 100% natural, and its functions are to clean the gut, the intestines, to clean the intestines out. Not strengthen them, but clean them. And it can be combined with almost any health product or any antibiotic, which is unusual. So you can combine it with a medicine. And what it's going to do is, let me read it here. Oh, bacteria cannot survive with oregano in the water. So it's a little different than probiotics in that probiotics rebuild good bacteria. Oregano prevents bacteria, bad bacteria, from living in the intestines. So you can see, it makes a lot of sense. Oregano in liquid form has been used more and more over the last few years. I hope that I answered your question. And oregano can be added to the drinking water, but I would think you could also use it on the feed. We've actually gone over, haven't we?
We have.
Well, I do hope you folks have enjoyed the show. I found it extremely interesting myself. We talked about so much during this particular show, but I listen to a radio program just about every week, and what Joe always ends the program by saying something along these lines. I've enjoyed doing the show, as has Gina, I'm sure. We learn by doing the show, but the show is worthless without people like you watching, and it's completely worthless without you people asking questions. Because without you watching and without you asking the questions, I think it would be a pretty boring show. So thank you very much for being part of the show. We'll talk to you next time.
Next show is July 13th.
But keep looking. We may have to change it because I'm going to be on a boat in the ocean on the 13th. So we may change the date, and we'll put